the story that Mr. Washington, when asked by Felicia Rashad to join her in assisting 9 theater students from Howard University who had been accepted to a summer acting program at the British Academy of Dramatic Acting in Oxford, he gracefully and privately agreed to contribute. As fate would have it, I was one of the students that he paid for. Imagine receiving the letter that your tuition for that summer was paid for and that your benefactor was none other than the dopest actor on the planet. I have no doubt that there are similar stories at boys and girls clubs and theaters and churches across the country where I know you have also inspired and motivated others. An offering from a sage and a king is more than silver and gold. It is a seed of hope. There is no Black Panther without Denzel Washington. And not just because of me, but my whole cast, that generation stands on your shoulders. The daily battles won, the 1,000 territories gained, the many sacrifices you made for the culture on film sets through your career, the things you refused to compromise along the way, laid the blueprints for us to follow. And so now, let he who has watered be watered.
Chadwick Boseman was more than a movie star. He was a symbol of excellence, integrity, and Black royalty. From 42 to Black Panther, he brought dignity to every role he touched. But when he passed away in 2020, something surprising came to light. He died without a will. And that decision had consequences. This is what happened to Chadwick Boseman's wealth and the lessons we all need to learn from it. Before he wore the crown of Wakanda, Chadwick was putting in years of work, trained at Howard University, supported by the legendary Felicia Rashad, and quietly sponsored by Denzel Washington. Chadwick honed his craft with intention. He played real-life legends Jackie Robinson, James Brown, Thurgood Marshall before stepping into the role that would forever change pop culture, King T'Challa in Black Panther. That film alone made over $1.3 billion. Chadwick's earnings from Marvel roles and other projects reportedly brought his net worth to somewhere between 8 and 12 million. But unlike many Hollywood stars, Chadwick didn't just live a flashy lifestyle. He gave generously, supported community causes, and stayed grounded, even while privately battling colon cancer. Chadwick was able to keep his cancer diagnosis private for 4 years. That privacy extended into his financial planning, and that's where things got complicated. In August of 2020, Chadwick passed away at just 43 years old, and it came as a shock that a man so intentional hadn't left a will. He died intestate, meaning the courts had to decide how to divide his estate. In California, when there is no will, half of the estate typically goes to the spouse, and the other half may go to the surviving parents depending on the setup. His wife, Taylor Simone Ledward, had to file paperwork and go through probate court to gain control. Chadwick's parents, Caroline and Leroy Boseman, were listed as interested parties. While the headlines said he was worth millions, after taxes, debts, and expenses, his estate was reduced to about 3.8 million, which is a far cry from 8 or 12 million, which is what was reported that he earned. And because there was no trust, the process was public. His loved ones were grieving while simultaneously dealing with legal procedures that should have been private. So, where did the money go? Let's break it down. Likely that the money went towards, of course, medical costs. We know that Chadwick battled cancer for 4 years, so that means that he probably had private treatment specialists and end-of-life care, which none of those are cheap. Obviously, if you make a lot of money, you also have to pay big taxes. So taxes and fees, without a trust, especially the estate, had to go through probate, which comes with its own problems, which is attorney fees, court costs, and delays. No protection planning, so that means Chadwick had no will or trust in place to shield his assets from being taxed or publicly probed. It's a hard truth, but one must face. The real tragedy is that it didn't have to be that way. Chadwick was a brilliant man, but like many of us, estate planning sometimes is just not at the top of our minds. This is more than just a celebrity story. This is a wake-up call, especially for Black families. Too many Black families lose wealth with every generation. Too many of our legacies are lost because we don't have wills, typically sometimes not even trust or estate plans. And this is not because we're irresponsible, but because we haven't been given the tools or the history of estate planning. In fact, studies show that over 70% of Black Americans don't have a will. And when someone dies intestate, it can cause family conflict along with court battles and loss of assets. Chadwick's family avoided public fights, but that's not always the case. Think about Aretha Franklin, Prince, DMX, and many other legends that left this world without securing their legacy. So, here's the hard truth. A will tells people what to do with your stuff. A trust protects your stuff before and after you die. Both are essential if you want to keep your family out of court and your wealth in your bloodline. You don't need millions to start estate planning. You need a conversation. You need a plan. You need a mindset, from just making money to protecting it. So, Chadwick Boseman was a king on screen and off. He gave us unforgettable characters, inspiring speeches, and a legacy of strength. But even legends need a plan. His story still inspires, but it also reminds us that even the strongest among us can leave things undone. Let's not let that be our story. Protect your family, protect your legacy, because the greatest wealth you leave behind is peace. So ask yourself today, do you have a will? Really ask yourself that, and get down in the comment sections and let me know what you guys think about this story. If you want more stories that explore Black excellence, financial truth, and protection of legacies, please go ahead and make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe for more stories that will educate, honor, and empower. Again, this is Chadwick Boseman's story, and I would love to hear what you guys think about this story.